Hello viewers, welcome to my channel. You are watching BioBundle with your co-learner Smita, and in today's video we are going to learn about a very basic chapter of 9th standard NCERT, that is the fundamental unit of life. Basically we'll be learning about the cell. Okay, so what I have done is I have broken down the chapter into smaller parts. This is part 1. Make sure you watch all the parts to get a complete understanding of the chapter. So now without wasting much time, let's get started. So in this video, we are going to look out for answers to questions like what are cells? How were they discovered? What do they look like? What's the cell number? Are they single cell, multicellular? What is the shape and size? And also about cell theory. So all organisms, whether it's a bacteria, whether it's a fungus, whether it's a plant, whether it's an animal, every living organism is composed of cells. Now, can you name this image? What is it? Can you name it? Yes, this is an amoeba. We have to underline it because it's a scientific name. Amoeba is not a bacteria. Amoeba belongs to a group, another kingdom known as kingdom Protista. Okay, this is a rod-shaped bacteria. This also belongs to kingdom Protista. This is Paramecium. So scientific name we have to underline. So these three are examples of those organisms whose body is composed of only one cell. These are unicellular organisms. Whereas suppose these are mushroom's body is made up of many cells, and mushroom is a fungus. So what we understand that all organisms are made up of cells. But what are cells? Let's understand it. Introducing cells. Students, sit down with pen and paper. It's very important for you to have the practice of writing. Even though every competitive exams they have multiple choice questions, but writing is also a skill which a student must hone. So it's very important for you to keep writing, keep practicing. It would get better with each passing day. So introducing cells. What is a cell? A cell is the basic structural and functional unit of life. And you have to understand that the cell is capable of independent existence. It can work on its own, it can survive on its own, independent existence. So we can also say that a cell is the smallest part of an organism which can carry out all the essential processes of life. So cells are self-contained units of structure and function. These are just different ways of defining the cell. Cells are basically the building blocks. So we have to understand one thing, that in case of a single cell organism, those whose entire body is made up of only one cell, that cell has to carry out all these activities. But in those organisms who have more than one cells, there what happens is that the cell, it groups together and it forms tissues. Several tissues, they form an organ. Several organs, they make the organ system. And several organ system constitutes the body of an organism. So different cell, suppose different muscle cells, they made the muscular tissue that forms the wall of the heart and the internal structures. And then heart is an organ which is a part of circulatory system, one of the several systems of the body, and then it contributes to the formation of an organism. Now, what is a branch of biology that deals with the study of all aspects of cells? That is known as cytology. Cytology. Logy means study, cyto means cell. Cytology. It's the, I'll just write it for you, branch of biology that deals with all aspects of a cell. Now let's understand about their discovery. It's very important to understand, to learn, to know about the people who have contributed to the discovery of cells. So the second unit is, the second heading would be discovery of cells. In the discovery of cells, the first name that comes to our mind is Robert Hooke. As you can see, this is the observation of Robert Hooke, and this is the microscope with which he had observed. What he did actually, cells were first discovered by Robert Hooke in the year 1665. He is the first person to describe or to observe cell. What exactly did he observe? What was the specimen? He observed cells in thin slice of cork. Thin slice of cork from the bark of an oak tree. What is the meaning of cork? Cork, it comes from bark. Okay, so Robert Hooke, he had himself devised or developed a compound microscope. Do you know what is the meaning of a compound microscope? A compound microscope is an instrument which uses more than one lens. So two lenses he had used. One he named as objective, another is the eyepiece. So in the diagram, in this one, this is the eyepiece. Here you put your eyes to observe the specimen, and objective lens is here. So this is a compound microscope which was developed by Robert Hooke, and what he saw is that the cork was composed of honeycomb-like structure. This is the observation, honeycomb. If you see that these are small compartments, this you could observe. So what is his observation? His observation is honeycomb like structure, and this honeycomb like structure, it looked like there were small rooms, tiny rooms. Okay, so there were tiny rooms. So this gave him an idea to name this structure. So basically when he looked at the slice of cork, it reminded him of tiny rooms of monks in a monastery. So he coined the term cell. He coined the term cell. Cell comes from the Latin word cellulae, which means a tiny room. Tiny room of what? Tiny room that reminded him of the monks living in a monastery. So he called it as cell. He has also written a book called Micrographia. These questions, questions are asked from this type of topic, book of Robert Hooke. What is the year? Year is also very important. 1665. First person. These are the milestones in the field of cell biology or biology basically. Such a long time ago. So written a book. What's the name of the book? Micrographia. So that's all you need to know about the person Robert Hooke. For your school exam, for Olympiads, this would be enough. Okay, that's a compound microscope. So Robert Hooke, when he observed this cork, what is this cork made of? Cork is made up of dead cells. You have to remember this is made up of a dead cell. Now, who was the person who has observed living cells? We come to that part, which is the second contributor, Anton von Leeuwenhoek. Anton von Leeuwenhoek was not a scientist. He was a Dutch craftsman who made lenses. So out of curiosity, he used his lens to build simple microscopes. Simple microscope is what? Simple microscope is, it has only one lens. It's made up of only one lens. What is the nature of the lens? The lens is biconvex in nature. If you have read about mirrors, suppose this is the plane mirror, light comes in this direction, right? This is the concave mirror and this is the light comes in this direction, so this is the convex mirror. This is a convex surface. So for biconvex lens, how does it look? It looks like this. Both the sides are convex. It could have been like this also. This is known as biconcave. This is biconvex. So biconvex lens are used in the light microscope. So Anton von Leeuwenhoek in the year 1674, remember the year 1674, he discovered free living cells. He discovered free living cells in pond water. He also used other samples. What type of samples did he use? Samples like blood, samples like scraping from his teeth. So person is the first one to observe living cells, right? So he observed single celled protist, blood cells and bacteria. These two are the main contributors in the discovery of cell. Now it's the question time. Tell me, first question. Oh, this is very light. Name the scientist who coined the term cell. What's the answer? Name the scientist who coined the term cell. Answer is Robert Hooke. Next question. Who first observed living cell? And the answer is Leeuwenhoek. Who first observed dead cell? Answer is Hooke. Robert Hooke. Now if I ask you what type of microscopes was used by Hooke? What is the answer? Answer is simple or compound? It's compound. Compound microscope, two lenses wala microscope. Now the last question is what type of microscope was used by Leeuwenhoek? And the answer is simple microscope. Also, students, remember for your exams the year. So Robert Hooke is 1665, for Leeuwenhoek it is 1674. Now let's come to the next topic, which is about cell number, cell shape, size, that one. So give heading cell number. This is a very basic, easy topic. Cell number, we have to understand that not all organisms are made up of multiple types of or multiple number of cell. Several organisms are there which are made up of one type of cell. And what do we call them? We call them as unicellular organisms. And there are other which are made up of many number of cells. They are known as multicellular organisms. Unicellular, they are made up of one cell, their body is made up of one cell, and multicellular, their body is made up of many cells. Unicellular, what we find that it's only one cell, so that single cell has to perform all the necessary functions. Whereas in multicellular organism, there is division of labor among the different cells. Division of labor is found in the single cell also, but that is within the cell. Whereas in multicellular organism, different groups, cluster of cells are there. They have been assigned different tasks. So examples of multicellular is the organism belonging to the kingdom fungi, except yeast, it is unicellular. Plants, animals, they are multicellular organisms. Here, if you remember, I had shown you the image of amoeba, then paramecium, underline, bacteria, chlamydomonas, which is an algae, chlamydomonas, it's an algae. Algae belongs to the plant kingdom, right? So these are unicellular organisms and multicellular organisms. Coming to cell shape. So cells can have various shapes and sizes. Various shapes and size related to the function it performs. In relation to its function. For example, amoeba. It doesn't have a fixed shape. It can change its shape. Leukocytes, the macrophages in our body. Leukocytes are a type of WBCs found in our blood. They can change shape. Whereas the other cells in our body, like nerve cell, it has a fixed shape. Coming to cell size, cell size is also, this is found to have great variation. Great variation is found in the size of cell. Like what? Like mycoplasma, which is the smallest cell. Again, from exam point of view, in MCQs, in any Olympiads or national level exams, you may find these questions. Smallest cell is mycoplasma. Mycoplasma, they belong to the group of bacteria. We also know mycoplasma as PPLO, pneumonia like organisms. Try to remember the full form of PPLO. The biggest cell is the ostrich egg. And in human body, what we find that the egg, human egg, ovum, they are the largest cell. That would be in the female. In the female. In the male, they do not produce egg. That would be the sperm. That would be the smallest cell in the male. Largest cell in the female, it's the human egg. And longest cell is the nerve cell. This is a sciatic nerve. That's the longest cell. Okay. In plant kingdom also, there is acetabularia. Which is an algae belonging to plant kingdom. It's a single cell that comprises of almost 6 to 10 centimeter in length. So these are some examples of various cells shape and size. The last topic for today is very interesting, that is cell theory. What is cell theory? Now, a long time ago, in the year 1838, Matthias Schleiden, who was a botanist. Botanist is a person who studies plants. So what he said, that plants are made up of cells. Plant body is made up of around the same time, another scientist, Theodor Schwann, who was a zoologist, he said that animals are made up of cells. Animals are also made of cells. So they basically made this cell theory, that is in the 1830s. Because microscopes were invented and they used to find out the structure of plant and animal, and they found that both are made up of cells. So they formulated the cell theory, but this did not explain how as to how the new cells are formed. So a very important extension of cell theory was done in the year 1855 by a scientist known as Rudolf Virchow. You will find all of this in NCERT. Nothing is very extra or of any sort. Rudolf Virchow said, "Omnis cellula e cellulae." It means all cells arise from pre-existing cells. So Virchow told us about the origin of cells. He gave shape to the cell theory. So from cell theory, if you're simply asked that what do you understand by cell theory, what are its postulates? So you can say that all organisms, whether plant or animals, are composed of one or more cells. All organisms are composed of one or more cells. Cells are the smallest unit of life. And all cells come from pre-existing cells. That's all for today. Please like it and share it and subscribe the channel. In the next part, I will explain the next topic, which is microscopy and about the cell organelle and cell structure. Thank you. Bye bye.